People who choose to be kind every day despite of not receiving the same kindness back. What motivates you? I'm not especially strong or educated. I'm not particularly well off, and I know I can get carried away and come off as annoying sometimes. So if I can't be strong or smart, socially adept or successful, I can definitely be kind. Because I know how it feels when you're down and your day/week/month/year just fucking sucks, and if there's a chance I can make just one person who feels like that have a better day and feel good for a bit, then it's worth it. Edit. So I've never actually seen a full episode of Friends and had no idea I was close to the theme song. Took me a bit to figure out why so many people were saying "I'll be there for you lol," but thanks for making me aware of that. I think a lot of it boils down to how you are raised. My dad came from an extremely loving family and my mom didn't. My dad will do anything for anyone and doesn't expect something in return and is always pleasantly surprised when they reciprocate because that's how he was raised. My mom made the conscious decision that she would never be like her family and is right there with my dad. They are both so supportive of me and my brother, and by extension all of our friends, because they see anyone who is part of their life a family. Lost count of the amount of times growing up we had friends stay with us because they had fallen out with their own parents. I try to do the same, and raise my girls the same. My mother, she was the nicest person I've ever known. She was respectful, kind and nice to everyone, even the ones who were mean to her. She committed suicide in April of 2019. And it made me really question life at the time. I think of her and aspire to be that level of kindness. I guess it reminds me of her whenever I see I've made someone smile. It just never hurts to be nice. You don't know what people go through or how long it's been since someone said something or did nice for someone. So I do my part to reset the clock on that. I remember holding the door for a guy one time when he was like 20 feet behind me. And he was so appreciative that someone did something for him that sounded like he was about to tear up. You just never know, so why not be a good person? I try to embody this mindset so much. Being a dwarf, I get a lot of shit from people, shouting on the street, pointing, people filming me and taking photos of me, asking me invasive questions, generally making rude statements about me or expressing weird assumptions. It gets tiring and sometimes downright upsetting, for sure, but I never want to let that feed into how I interact with people in general. As soon as I am addicted to someone preemptively, without cause, I have just ruined an opportunity to have a positive new connection in my life. People can and will often surprise you. And even people who may seem ignorant or rude at first can change dramatically if I don't just shut them down from the offset. There is a line, of course. If someone is a complete unapologetic ass, fuck them. I'm not against standing up for myself, and I have had to cut ties with people before, but in milder situations, people have the capacity to change, and it's kind of wasted potential to not encourage that, whether it is through empathy or kindness. I used to let all of this get to me. I would be so angry and miserable, every day. I hated everyone. But eventually, I realized that empathizing with people is a win for both parties, understanding where a person is coming from, not excusing it, but understanding it, made me less angry, and in turn allowed for them to not get defensive or aggressive like they would if they were just pegged as a monster. Eventually, empathy just became easier. It made me happier, and it took less of a toll on my mindset. It isn't a conscious choice, it is the way that I am. Even when I am at my worst, feeling really down, I put on a smile. Having had some bad times that I wouldn't wish on anyone else, I just do what little I can. Yesterday I complimented a woman on her bright pink hair and we had a short but sweet conversation about it. One day an old man saw a boy upon a beach. The boy was picking up sand dollars that had washed ashore and were dying in the hot sun. Handful by handful the boy took as many sand dollars as he could to return them to the safety of the ocean. But the beach was covered in hundreds of exposed sand dollars. Seeing this foolishness, the man called out to the boy, "Why do you do such a thing? There are hundreds of sand dollars on this beach. You can only help so many. Why are you wasting your time on something that doesn't matter to you? To which the boy responded, perhaps you are right. Perhaps this act does not matter to me, but it matters to them. Kindness is a choice. You don't do it for praise or a prize. You just do it because it's the right thing to do sometimes. You catch more flies with honey. Not saying your motivation to be nice should be to get things out of people, but more opportunities present themselves when you're likable and people want to be around you. You sleep well and have diverse social groups to interact with. And being nice does not mean to let people take advantage of you. Clearly communicate your boundaries and have the other person confirm that they've heard and understand you. Having ideals means you stick to them no matter what. You have no expectation of getting anything in return. Trying to be a good person is done solely because it's the right thing to do, not because you think people will like you better or you'll be rewarded. Even though being a good person has burned me so many times, I refuse to let it break my ideals. Being kind is so much more powerful, if subtle, than unkindness. It costs me nothing but a bit of mental gymnastics, and for a few moments life isn't terrible. I came here to say this: kindness is extremely powerful. When I chose to terminate my pregnancy, there were picketers outside Planned Parenthood yelling at the woman going in and out of the clinic. One guy angrily accosted me as I was leaving. Instead of biting back with anger or more hate, I sat down with the man and politely listened to his position. In turn, he politely listened to my side. We discussed our mutual Christianity. We prayed together and we both left the interaction smiling and saying God bless to each other as we parted ways. My kindness turned this rabid dog into a wagging puppy. My kindness turned what he labeled an adulterous baby killer into a human. And that's incredibly powerful. I mean, I don't expect people to be kind, but also superheroes. I grew up reading comics. It's what led to me choosing my career, and like 90% of beliefs come from superheroes, and then the other percent is like what my parents raised me with and also some Buddhism sprinkled in there. In short, I treat everyone like they are my mom, my dad, my siblings. Everyone is family to me and I wouldn't want to see any hurt on them. I've had and still have dark days in my life and know how bad life can become, but Western society dictates that we have to put on a brave face in public, so everyone you meet may have a really bad day and not show it. So, if I can make someone else's day just a little bit better by being nice or kind, why shouldn't I? Seeing another person smile makes me happy, and that's all the motivation I need. If you are kind or patient with someone who is having a bad day, maybe that will change the whole trajectory. If someone is neutral and you give them a compliment, not creepy, it can multiply by them being nice to someone else having a rough time. In any case, leading with patience or kindness is never a bad idea. If, despite your lead, the person you are interacting with treats you like hot summer garbage, then decide how you want to protect your own mood. My high school youth pastor once said, be kind because everyone you meet is fighting a battle. I try to remember that. Also, I am a Christian, so I admire the way Jesus was kind, and want to be like him. But there is a difference between being kind and being nice. Sometimes being kind is saying or doing the hard thing because you know it is for the best, like telling someone they have something in their nose or teeth, which can intimidating for some reason. It hurts me to be unkind to others. I feel bad. It sucks up my attention. I ruminate over it. I worry about retaliation. I damage relationships. I lose an opportunity to transform a negative relationship into a positive relationship. I leave behind a person that will continue to do damage that will inevitably come back around to something I will have to deal with later. It's like asking myself, why don't I just throw my garbage on the floor? Why would I want to hurt myself? Why wouldn't I want to be proud that I improved the world around me? I don't see the benefit in creating more problems, but I do see the benefit in fixing problems. However, I think your question is how not to get stepped upon. Being kind is not being a doormat. Set boundaries. Be vocal about what you will tolerate. Then seek understanding what is going wrong. Actively listen, and try to address their actual problem with compassion. I know that there have been times in my life where I was in the shit, real low and depressed, and having a person smile at me or say they liked my shirt or something simple like that could make my day worth it. It's because I KO that feeling that I try and compliment strangers if I notice even something simple that catches my eye and try to be nice to everyone. You never know someone's background, what they're going through, or even if they've just had a shit day and they're grumpy about it. A few words can go a long way. I'm not doing this because I want to beat someone, cause I want to hate someone, or because I want to blame someone. It's not because it's fun, and God knows it's not because it's easy. It's not even because it works, because it hardly ever does. I do what I do because it's right, because it's decent, and above all it's kind. It's just that, just kind. It's a quote from Peter Capaldi's Doctor, and I'm sure there are many better quotes from real historical people, but this is one I remember, and it was about doing all you can do in the moment to help someone, and for me that meant something as small as just being kind to a stranger, or even a friend. Hope in humanity. I believe that people receiving kindness will think about it and maybe do it again. Saying their smile or feeling that they are really happy about kindness make me feel good, and seeing other people being mean made me promise to myself I will never be like that, and just never expect some kindness back. So when it happened, I'm really happy about it, even if it didn't happen often. Always assume someone's having a worse day than you. That person who cut you off in traffic and is weaving in and out, maybe their boss told them if they are late one more day they're fired and they overslept. A store clerk is short with you. Maybe they just heard about a friend's cancer diagnosed and they can't get it out of their mind, but they still have to work today. I would hope if I'm in a dark place someone else would give me a similar benefit of the doubt. Honestly, religion. I'm a Christian, and a core part of Christianity is just trying to do the right thing without expecting any reward back. We're taught that there's a higher moral standard and that everyone, regardless of what they do, deserves the same forgiveness and kindness. It's not a do the right thing and you get rewarded mentality. It's how Jesus acted, and that standard is what we do our best to uphold. My favorite verse is 1 Peter 3-9. Do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult, but with blessing, because to this you were called, that you may all inherit a blessing. Not receiving kindness back? No, more like not receiving kindness right now. I like to see my friends happy, even if it cost my own comfort. But when you need them, they will give you your respect for sure. Karma is real, negative and positive. It just likes to take some time. Don't worry, it will come back. Walk with pride, and treat people like you would like to be treated. I spent too much of my life being the quiet guy, and let aggressive people get in my head. It destroyed me, and I spent about 10 years in severe depression. With therapy and friends I've gotten out of that mindset for the most part. Regardless, I don't want me to be the person that makes others feel like I did. It doesn't feel good. Why would I put that on someone else? Aggressive people exist. It sucks to see them win, but I do have some inner joy in knowing and seeing when their actions cause them to screw themselves. That's all the karma I need. Ideals. If I'm feeling pretentious, a mix of masochism, partly due to said received unkindness, partly due to holding myself to an impossible standard, and that'll hate myself even more if I don't even try to be a better person. If I'm more honest, also generally understanding with age that evil, for the sake of argument, meaning any behavior not kind, isn't that simple. Most evil is born of circumstances, either those of the past, trauma of varying forms, or immediate circumstances. Whenever I'm being confronted by daily evil, even though my immediate emotional reaction is very much dismissive or counter-aggressive, I try to remember that I haven't walked in their shoes. Maybe they have a traumatic past, a bad situation recently, a really shitty day in particular, or someone pissed them off on the phone mere moments before our interaction. Regardless of the particulars, judging them to just be an asshole can rarely if ever be justified. Not without hypocrisy. Goodness knows I've been a dick thousands of times, and I hope I'm not rotten to the core myself. So, just be better, I tell myself, often unpleasant, but at least I don't have many regrets from making things worse for people. I've had crappy things happen to and said about me, like real life have some crazy stories. Having this happen for years growing up in my teens, currently almost 21, has made a negative impact in my psychology state, to the point where I wouldn't want anyone going through the same. That, and being a guy who don't really get compliments much, doesn't this bother anyone? And every time I get something new I always remember how it made my day. So I usually pay it forward by complimenting others and generally trying not to ruin others' days. I try to be kind to everyone because I've been shat on and abused before, and I don't want anyone else to feel that way. Also, you never know what people are going through, and a little kindness can change someone's life. Some people act like assholes because they're hurting from something, and maybe receiving a little decency from people will turn them around or at least make them question their behavior and or motives. The world is a rough place and there's no reason to make it tougher for others. Be good people. It's simple. Do you like it when people are kind to you? If so, you should be kind to people. It's that simple. I'm not religious, but the do unto others as you would have them do unto you thing is a great way to live. I used to be angry all the time and always complaining about people being assholes and life being unfair until I started to look inward and see that I was getting what I was giving. From that day forward I decided to force myself to smile even when I wasn't happy. I decided I would be kind and genuinely care about other people. It really is crazy how much my life changed for the better. Better opportunities popped up out of nowhere that I was luckily able to recognize and grab by the balls. With that being said, my life's not perfect. I still have bad days, but being able to lay down and know that I did everything in my power that day to enrich the lives of others makes any bad day just a little bit better. People are also a lot nicer, too. You really do get what you give. It seems like people can recognize your eagerness to treat people kindly, and most of the time they mimic that behavior. If you're skeptical, give it a try. What do you have to lose? I reconnected a few years back with an old friend. He handmade me a t-shirt with some art, and all he said was, "I did something kind. Now just do one good deed for someone else and pay it forward and watch it change people." Fuck it, I'm an overachiever. Every time I wear that shirt, I think, some dude I hadn't talked to in years made me a t-shirt in his spare fucking time. He didn't have to do any of this, but he did. He thought of me and gave a shit. Dude could have been doing anything else. He doesn't owe me shit. I don't take that for granted. He took the time for me. Man, if I could be only a little bit as nice as that to everyone, imagine how many people's lives I could make just a little bit better. So, I at least try every chance I can. No one is ever gonna see this by now, but I started when I was like 11 or whatever in elementary school. I knew the lunch ladies had miserable jobs serving for bratty kids, so ever since middle school I would learn the lunch ladies' names and talk to them while being served. Same thing in middle school. They always loved seeing me in the line and joking with me. And I always ordered the same thing, so they even knew my order every day. Everyone else treated them like servants and were rude to them, but for me, it started back then, not wanting to be like the rest of the kids. I want to always make someone's day brighter no matter what. You never know what someone is going through. I know I go through hard times and wish I had a stranger like me to smile at me and say hello. It really does make a difference just being friendly to one another, no strings attached. Just a how you'd nod and smile kinda lets you know you ain't alone, and I try to do that for everyone I encounter. Never know what someone is going through, and it never hurts to extend a smile and hello to let them know that too. I never want to leave a negative effect on someone. I always want to be remembered as a light and good person by anyone I encounter, rather than rude and miserable to them. At my mom's funeral service, the church was packed full of people and there were a ton of folks outside who couldn't fit in. She was kind and generous and loving to everyone she ever met. They all had incredibly lovely things to say about her. 16 years later I still bump into people who say, "Oh, I look just like her," and how they miss her and she was taken too soon. When we die, the only thing left are the memories of you. I'd rather the church be full of people who have good memories, a legacy of kindness and positivity, because the world needs it these days, and also to honor my mom. I hope she is proud of me. It's depressing to think about the world being unkind, so it is easier to believe there are kind people in the world if I try to be a good person myself. A bit like if I can be kind, then it's easier to believe in the potential that other people could behave the same way. Also, we live neither in hell nor heaven. Good things do not happen all the time like in heaven, but the potential for good things to happen is enough for me to believe we don't live hell, so we can be optimistic and hope for the best. Empathy. I suffer from depression and often find myself feeling numb to my own feelings, but my empathy has never been dulled by it. There have been times where it felt like the only thing I could feel is someone else's hurt. There's so much bad in this world and it breaks my heart, so if I can brighten or soothe someone's day, to do something that can slightly increase the net good of the world, then it seems worth it, even if I don't see return for it. But, honestly, even if there isn't measurable good returned back to me, there is something there. It's like karma, or a blessing from God, or maybe it's just a placebo born from trying to see good when it's hard to, but I genuinely believe my life is better when I'm kind.